More than 2 hours passed since Alessandra was served breakfast and put to soak in warm water to ease the soreness. After having to convince Edgar 3 times that there was no longer discomfort, he agreed to head to the palace with her. Edgar was only going to the palace as Raphael would be there, and he wanted to start his plan to infiltrate William's home with Tobias.
If you feel any pain and want to return home, you can...
Edgar, thank you for the concern, but it is not warranted. I am honestly all right, and I am not lying to you. If it will ease your mind, I will send for you if I need to return home. Happy now? Alessandra asked.
Hardly. One of us has to worry about your well-being. It is annoying what horrible timing this gathering has. If not for you so determined to attend this gathering, we would be tangled up in our sheets till this very hour,
said Edgar. There will be plenty of time for us to lay in bed when we return, and the day after. I have not complied enough guests for my party. I want my first party to be done right, with the right people there. Do you want me to fail? Alessandra asked, hoping to guilt-trip Edgar into being happy they were going to the palace. Edgar stared at Alessandra, unamused about this party when he would rather be in bed right now. Secondly, this party called for him to open up his home to others. Consider it your last apology for those marks you left on my skin. I am lucky that it is winter, since the women would have found it odd for me to be wearing a dress covering my neck. Alessandra glared at Edgar for smiling when she did not like it now. She was fine with him leaving the marks, but not anywhere to be easily seen. Alessandra wasn't upset by them at first because she considered it to be done in the spur of the moment. But the smile Edgar wore each time it was brought up told her otherwise.
Given the name you cried my name last night, there's nothing for me to apologize for. I am wearing the marks you created on my back with pride, aren't I?
Alessandra looked out the window to hide her blush. Edgar reminded her of the marks she created every chance he got. For the next couple of hours, let's not talk about what happened between us. We should talk about something else, like Alfred finally resigning.
You mean how much it is costing me to make him retire? None of you can ever say that I am not nice. I even offered your maid a piece of my land to...
You did? Alessandra exclaimed, as this was the first she had heard of this. What prompted Edgar to do this? Was he aware of something she did not know? Sally is always quiet when it comes to her family, and I know it is wrong to pry, but I would like to help her. I spent the most time with her, but I know and do so little. She wouldn't accept money, so what do you think she would like?
A house. She is trying to obtain one for her and her parents. Do you intend to give her one?
Edgar asked. Alessandra awkwardly smiled because technically Edgar would be the one actually buying the home. Can't you allow her to use one of your other homes?
I only have 2 homes in Lockwood. The one we occupy and a smaller one. It is already being used by a couple from out of town. The other homes are out of Lockwood, and I doubt she would want to leave town when she has a well-paying job here. Caleb has offered his home, but she has not accepted it. I've told her to be realistic so the 2 of them will work it out. What part of this is fun? I want to go back to talking about us,
said Edgar. Alessandra rolled her eyes. The topic of conversations cannot always be about you, Edgar. Thank goodness we are here. She felt relieved to enter the palace gates. The moment the carriage stopped, Alessandra was ready to jump out and rush to meet up with the other women attending. But Edgar held her hand.
Slow down, Miss Rabbit. We both have to go inside the palace. And there is someone I want you to meet,
Edgar said, looking ahead at the familiar black carriage in front of him, a gift he had given to a close friend.
Raphael is right on time.
Raphael? Is that the knight who resides out of town? Alessandra asked, recalling this name being brought up while they were in Rose's home.
Yes, he is here to deal with troubles at the borders, so he won't be in the palace long. Take my hand.
Edgar said as he held out his hand for Alessandra to use to step out of the carriage. Luckily, the snow was not as bad as on other days, when they would have to rush inside. Alessandra wore one of the coats she had bought from out of town to keep herself warm. Alessandra looked at the tall, well-built man standing outside his carriage, waiting for her and Edgar. Edgar seemed to have friends with many great titles and wealth. Given his status, it was inevitable. But she was more intrigued by the fact Edgar actually had numerous friends because of how antisocial he could be at times. Well, at all times. Edgar, Raphael greeted his childhood friend. He looked at the woman beside Edgar, ignoring the mask she wore. He had seen people wear all kinds of things in public, thanks to his travel around outside the kingdom to fight against enemies. Plus, Tobias could not help his habit of gossiping about Edgar, and sent him a letter about the new Duchess. It is nice to meet you, Duchess Alessandra. It is nice to finally meet you, Raphael. Alessandra greeted him with a handshake. You look annoyed already, Raphael. How long has it been since you returned home to rest before Tobias called for you again? Edgar asked. 3 months. I've thought about strangling him for continuing to annoy me, but I was in need of a distraction. I should be angry with you, too, for denying going to the border, and now I am here. But I guess you have good enough reason to stay home. We should hurry inside to get this day with a pain in the ass over with, said Raphael. Alessandra and Edgar parted when they entered the palace as a maid came out to take her to where the other women had gathered. Edgar and Raphael walked around in search of Tobias. So, you are married now? Is this a miracle or love at first sight? Which would also be a miracle for you, said Raphael. He did not believe the news of Edgar's marriage until Tobias wrote a letter confirming it. Congratulations, by the way. I apologize for not attending, but I was not sent an invitation. No one was. It does not matter how I came to be married. All that matters is that I am married. Should we ever care to have a proper wedding, you will receive an invitation, or you should finally grow some balls and marry the maid you have been having trouble with. We can all attend a wedding, said Edgar. It is complicated. More complicated than going out on a battlefield. Edgar chuckled, pitying Raphael's current state. He was the quiet one of the group and liked to keep to himself, so there was no surprise he was having trouble with a woman. They met at the school Priscilla had sent Edgar to when he was young. Unlike Edgar being sent there so his mother could enjoy her life, Raphael was sent there because his mother wanted him to come out of his shell and make friends with other young boys. After Raphael aided Edgar in breaking out of the school to return home, they became friends. It will get better or not, said Edgar. It is amusing to hear that you are trying to woo a woman. As amusing as you getting married? I hear you killed your wife's father and punched Daniel for her. Dominic writes to me. I have no interest in spying on you, Raphael said, to let Edgar know the other 2 men were sending around information about his love life. I hear you have become a sucker for your wife. The great Edgar has become the new Tobias. I hear you are sulking around your house, trying to get your maid to like you. You are mistaking the person who is the sucker. You are the one meant to claim that title, Edgar replied. He was not that much of a sucker compared to Raphael. You too, Tobias said, bringing the attention of the 2 men to himself. Since they were so deep in their conversation, they hadn't noticed him standing before them. Are you 2 trying to see who is the bigger sucker? No, Edgar and Raphael replied in perfect harmony. The position of the biggest sucker goes to you, said Edgar. Raphael ended it by saying, We are trying to decide who is second. Tobias felt the need to toss the 2 out of his palace. Why the hell was he the biggest sucker, considering all that Edgar was doing for Alessandra lately? See this? He pointed at Edgar and Raphael standing together.
I am not a fan of you two being together. Raphael is the innocent one in the group, but whenever you are around Edgar, you become this little shady shit. I don't need Edgar corrupting you. Side note, why does Edgar seem to use a different energy today? Did something good happen? Perhaps. Mind your business. I take it you might have received a message from Grant about me, Edgar said, knowing the man wouldn't let it slide how Alessandra had cut him off. Tobias sent Edgar a suspicious look. He received a letter in the middle of the night from Grant, and because of how the letter was written, the man was furious. What did you say to piss him off? He asked. After Grant pushed the stupid idea for him to marry Linda, Tobias didn't care for his presence and was glad Edgar somehow pissed him off. Not me, Alessandra interrupted him. That man and his stupid views. Tobias shook his head. I remember when he told Hazel to keep quiet when discussing politics in the kingdom. A woman doesn't need to speak of politics. Tobias repeated Grant's words. It would be the second time he felt like killing the man. No one was to disrespect his wife, his queen, in front of him. He only let it pass because Hazel asked him not to do anything, as she was used to how Grant spoke. I wouldn't mind if that old man catches a heart attack and dies. He is one of the people keeping a lot of those outdated values on women alive. I've learned he's leading the conversation about Hazel not having an heir yet. Trying to keep him on my side is over with. I'd love to get rid of him without his son and grandson ever finding out it was me, Tobias said, as Grant had been getting on his nerves too much lately. I never understood why you cared to keep his loyalty when the number of men in his possession has dwindled over the years. His grandsons do not share his views, and they, quite frankly, do not like their grandfather. They will stay out of a fight should Grant try to go against the throne. But I would bring my men to help you, said Raphael. Over the years, he had many men join his side. Those who fought alongside him for this kingdom, and those who surrendered who were given a chance to join his side. He spent more time out fighting than at home, but whenever he returned home, it would be with a new group of men pledging their loyalty to Raphael. I will only join the fight if the two of you will focus on my current enemy. I am acquiring the outline of William's home to know how I want to get in and what ways he can get out. I want him dead by the end of the week, Edgar declared. Filth, like William, shouldn't be left alive when he was obsessed with Alessandra. One other thing. Have you taken care of what I sent you? You mean the notice of the Duchess not receiving her inheritance? I've sent it to the court to deal with it faster. It won't be long before they visit the Baroness. Thank you, Alessandra said to the maid, who had led her to where Hazel and the other women were seated. Your coat, Duchess. Oh, right. Here you go. Alessandra took off the coat and handed it to the young maid for safekeeping. Alessandra walked into the room with her head held high, ignoring the stares and hushed conversations now that she was here. They could speak about her for all she cared. Duchess! Hazel called and waved to get Alessandra's attention. You are seated at this table. Hazel was not in charge of who was in attendance, but she made sure she would have Alessandra by her side. Linda was still out of town with her father, so Hazel mostly had Alessandra to be herself with, and knew she wasn't being used. Many of the young women present hardly cared about Hazel, and only wanted to be seen with the queen. I'm so happy you could attend. I hope the roads weren't too bad with the snow, Hazel asked, ignoring the confused stares from some of the other women at the table, who weren't pleased with Alessandra being seated there. No, the roads are much better than how they were yesterday. It seems like someone has cleared them. You look beautiful, Queen Hazel, Alessandra said as she sat down. Thank you, but I am sure it does not compare to how you are glowing at the moment. Did something good happen today? Or perhaps last night? Hazel wiggled her eyebrows suggestively. After Edgar almost beat the hell out of William,
Hazel wouldn't be surprised if Alessandra gave him the time of his life once they returned home. Nothing was more satisfying than watching the love of your life defend you.
Duchess, it is nice to see you again,
Emma said, making her presence known.
I hope we can forget what happened last night and get to know each other well.
Alessandra could only offer Emma a smile. Given the relationship status between the men in their lives, Alessandra didn't think it was best she started a friendship with Emma. Not that she didn't like the young woman, but Oliver was sure to snap once he found out about it. Alessandra would not become close to anyone around Oliver until he stopped blaming Edgar for his feelings towards his gender. Oliver's engagement to Emma and his secret lover was sure to blow up one day if he did not take care of it soon. And with how judgmental the town was, he would not be able to stay here peacefully. Alessandra had too much drama to be tangled up in someone else's. Meanwhile, Emma was ecstatic to see Alessandra and build a friendship with her. She had hoped that Oliver and Edgar could slowly rebuild their friendship if she and Alessandra could become friends.
Then Oliver would be happy,
Emma thought. After her mess in the bathroom, she had returned to the party with Oliver and, at some point, caught him looking in the Duke's direction when he was standing with the Duchess. Emma figured he missed his old friend, but had too much pride to be the one to fix things, so she would do it for him. Emma just needed Oliver to acknowledge her at least once. Queen Hazel, we weren't aware you and the Duchess were so close. Alessandra looked further down the table at a short-haired brunette woman she had never seen before. Alessandra found that the woman's attire was far too sexual for just being around women, and there being snow, her breasts were sure to pop out at any moment.
I don't find it necessary to announce to everyone who I am close to, Sophia. Since you are so curious, you should know that the Duke and my husband are quite close. I've invited the Duchess to the palace to personally get to know her. I find her to be a lovely woman,
Hazel said to show the woman present that Alessandra had a close relationship with her already, when it was taking years for most of the women here to earn her favor. Is that so? We have never met, Duchess. My name is Sophia West. My husband is part of the royal court. I am sure you have heard of me by now. Sophia spoke with her nose in the air, proud of her status and certain she was well known, even for someone like Alessandra. Why are you acting so highly about your husband working in the court when you are speaking to a duchess? Your husband won't impress someone who is married to a duke. Ignore her. A young woman on the opposite side of Sophia told Alessandra. I am Eleanor, Duchess. Happy to finally meet you. Nice to meet you too, Eleanor, Alessandra said, offering Eleanor a smile for helping her. She then turned to Sophia and said, I am sorry that I have no idea who you are or your husband is, but I'd love to get to know. Your husband should know me, Sophia said, smiling cunningly. Eleanor sighed while Hazel wanted to kick Sophia out for acting foolish. Must all the women in town try to be so despicable all the time? Sophia enjoyed Alessandra's confused expression. Had I played my cards right, you wouldn't have gotten the chance to be Duchess. I have to say, I've been missing the way that man would make my toes curl. You are a lucky one. Alessandra smiled, almost releasing a chuckle because of the conversation. She knew two things right now. One, Edgar would never have married Sophia, and Alessandra didn't need to get to know the woman well to know this. Two, Edgar mentioned this morning he had never taken anyone to his bed who wasn't experienced. So, now Alessandra was aware Sophia had been sleeping around before her marriage, and she was disrespecting her husband by mentioning her time with another man. That is, if it was true she was once with Edgar. You are a beautiful woman, Sophia, but you have hardly any common sense. I'm aware my husband had a past, and perhaps you were in it. But while you were trying to upset me, you were digging a hole for yourself. I am not angry if you were to share a bed with my husband, but I am pitying your husband. You are not speaking of how he curls your toes. How would he react, I wonder? Is he in the palace? Alessandra turned to Hazel, who didn't try to hide her smile. I believe he is, Hazel answered. Sophia sat up in her seat. There is no need for you to call my husband. I cannot believe you let her sit at this table. She is hardly a lady. The sound of Eleanor snorting brought Sophia's attention to her. I'm sorry, but that is hilarious. You speak of her not being a lady when you, out of nowhere, brought up being with her husband, when in fact you did not. I remember how you tried to use your body to get the Duke's attention and forced yourself into a room he was residing in, and he threw you out on your ass. Sophia tried to get Eleanor to stop spewing her lies. She had no reason to lie about sleeping with Edgar. Why wouldn't he want her when many men desired her body? Her husband had to consider himself lucky. I am not finished. The only person at this table who is not a lady is you, who fucked your way into this marriage you are in now. The only reason your husband married you is he got you pregnant. You should be silent and leave the Duchess alone. You are only ready to pick at her because you are jealous that she caught the Duke's attention. All of you are. Eleanor pointed at the women around the table. That is not. My father owns one of the brothels in the red light district, Sophia. I know many secrets in the kingdom. So, Eleanor placed a finger on her mouth. Hush. Funny how you try to shame me when your father exploits girls' bodies for money, Eleanor. How do you sleep at night? Sophia asked, turning the tables back in her favor. Like a baby. My father's occupation has nothing to do with me. I can't help but think that sometimes I end up hearing a lot of gossip, or, let's say, tea, Eleanor said, holding up her cup of tea. I like the sound of that better. I don't like what he does. I do not like women like you who try to poke at other women. I thought it was only the women in the red light district who brag about the men they have slept with, but I was wrong. She sipped her tea. This is lovely, Queen Hazel. Thank you, Eleanor. Hazel accepted the compliment, even though she was not the person to pick out the tea. Sophia? She offered a sweet smile to the woman who had the nerve to try making Alessandra feel sad about Edgar's past affairs. Get up. What? Sophia's mouth fell open. With her husband's status in the palace, she was not just anyone who could be removed from this table. I said to get up. You and anyone else who is ridiculous enough to try picking at Alessandra. Alessandra can certainly stand up for herself, but granted, I am in a terrible mood today and I have no time for your stupidity. Anyone who does not enjoy Alessandra being seated here or feels bad about Sophia being removed, please get up, Hazel said, already knowing no one was going to stand with Sophia. This was how cutthroat the social world for women was. They'd try to humiliate each other to make themselves feel better and enjoy gossip. But one thing they would not do was lose favor with someone like the Queen. Sophia's husband's status did not matter here. Sophia reluctantly stood up from her seat, looking around at the other women present to join her. What are all of you doing? She asked her peers. It is not ladylike to cause a scene, Emma said, feeling secondhand embarrassment from Sophia's behavior. As sheltered as Emma was, she had heard of how Sophia used her body to elevate her status and ended up trapping her now husband. Says the drunkard, Sophia snapped at Emma. It's been going around. You made a fool of yourself yesterday and your fiancé blew up at you. You should count yourself lucky to be still engaged. I can see why Oliver holds no interest in you. Such a bland little thing. Emma gripped her dress under the table. Eleanor bit into a piece of cake, entertained by the mess unfolding. She couldn't save everyone from Sophia, and she had been desperately waiting for Emma to have a backbone. At least I am not a whore who sold my body for the latest dress, Emma fought back. Sophia had no reason to judge her relationship with Oliver when the only reason she was married was due to her faking a pregnancy. Alessandra looked at Hazel, who was just sighing from the bickering. Trauma at the start of the gathering for women is always normal. Wait until the gossip starts, said Hazel. One would think that with a room of women from well-known families, there would be class. But the truth was, high society was full of women pointing knives at each other. There were just a few who formed long-lasting, genuine friendships. Would you like some tea to warm up after coming from the cold outdoors? No, thank you, Alessandra replied. Alessandra wouldn't be able to enjoy warming up with a cup of tea while there could be a fight at the table. How had it gotten to this point? Sophia scoffed, offended by Emma calling her a whore. What the hell do you know about anyone when you have been running around trying to get your fiancé to remember you are part of his life? Do not speak what you do not know, little girl. This table does not suit a woman like myself. Hazel could jump for joy now that Sophia finally left. Now we can enjoy our time together. Would you care for that tea now, Alessandra? I can pour it for you. I can pour, Alessandra. Hazel held up her hand. I enjoy these moments when I can lift a finger and do something for the people I care about. It makes me feel normal. After some annoying news last night, I want to have fun with you. Let me pour you a cup of tea. Thank you, said Alessandra. While Hazel poured the tea, Alessandra wanted to speak with the other young ladies. Specifically, Eleanor seemed to be quite the character. She found the group whispering about something and looking around at the other tables. Alessandra picked up on the other women, whispering and looking in the same direction. Alessandra looked at the door to see what was causing all the chatter, and was stunned to see it was Heather they were speaking about. Last she remembered, Heather was close to Priscilla, so she should be acquainted with most of the young women here. Judging by the snickering and disgusted expressions shown as some women looked at Heather, something had happened. Alessandra looked back at Heather, noticing how uncomfortable she appeared to be. She watched Heather follow a maid to the seat assigned to her, but could not sit because a young woman placed her bag on the seat. Why are they treating Heather like this? Alessandra asked for anyone at her table to answer. Haven't you heard? Emma asked, finding it odd that Alessandra didn't know about it since Priscilla was her mother-in-law. It's been a hot topic that Priscilla Collins has ousted Heather from her circle. No one wants to get on Priscilla's bad side, so they don't want to be seen with Heather. I can't believe she showed up today, Emma chuckled. Alessandra didn't find it to be funny like Emma did. It was not fun to be made an outcast and know you were the butt of a joke. Alessandra didn't like her first run-in with Heather, but it did not mean she hated her to let her be treated this way. Heather! Alessandra called out her name. She noticed how confused Heather was to see that she was reaching out. We have a free seat here now. Please join us. What are you doing, Duchess? Emma asked, looking at Alessandra like she had grown another head. Being nice, Alessandra replied. Just like how I was when you were drunk.